Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have some stunning updates to share about the search of Mar-a-Lago and the ways that Donald Trump's own legal team and his friends are basically shooting him in the foot. So first, you guys may have already heard Trump's attorneys have officially asked the judge to appoint a special master. So that's someone who would come in and review the documents. They're a nonpartisan person. They would review these documents that were seized from his Florida home to ensure that the documents comply with the initial search warrant, also to see if anything might fall under the heading of executive privilege. Now, what's funny is that Trump's legal team and allies are doing far more harm than good for their Führer, as I just said. They admit that Trump received a subpoena for all the documents all the way back in May, and that the FBI continued to interview Trump's staff in regard to these documents that have been seized. And Trump ally John Solomon posted a copy of a letter on his website last night. This is beyond damaging to Trump's case. For some reason, he is under the false impression, I guess, that this letter is exculpatory. They're already over on some of the right-wing news, could I say that with air quotes, news outlets. They're trying to spin this, that Biden was all up in Trump's business. Biden was in on this whole thing. What it completely lays out is the fact that the Biden administration tried to stay out of it in every way possible. They tried to just let the DOJ deal with it, let their legal counsel deal with it, and not get involved. And this document that Solomon posted on his site gives great detail about why the government was so freaked out about Trump having this stuff, and how Trump and his attorneys tried to prevent or delay the investigation by the FBI. Let me say that again. Trump's people knew what the FBI wanted, and they tried to get the National Archives to delay giving the documents to the FBI. So here's the deal. Here's what we found out from this monumental, disastrous mistake by Solomon. The May 10th letter was sent to Trump attorney Evan Corcoran. So this is what he posted. Was this a copy of this letter? This was sent to Trump's attorney Corcoran from a U.S. archivist with the National Archives and Records Administration. They go by NARA. In it, this archivist notes that Corcoran requested 2 times that the National Archives, quote, delay the disclosure of documents to the FBI. So NARA knows that Trump has these documents. They've already collected 15 boxes at this point. And the FBI is saying, what's in them? We want to know what you collected from Trump for this investigation. We have a grand jury investigation going. NARA reaches out to Trump's team, and Trump's team says, no, can you please not tell them what was in those boxes? What was in those 15 boxes that you got from us? So the archivist mentions in this letter that these requests were made by Corcoran to delay the sharing of information with the FBI. Corcoran requests on Trump's behalf on April 29th, and then again on May 1st, he says, can you please not tell the FBI what you got from us? So she states in this letter, quote, in accord with that agreement, we had not yet provided the FBI with access to the records when we received your letter on April 29, and we have continued to refrain from providing such access to date. So NARA even gave them the benefit of the doubt and said, okay, we'll hold off. We won't tell the FBI what we took from you, what we got from you. She goes on to confirm that the National Archives had, quote, ongoing communications with the former president's representatives throughout 2021 about what appeared to be missing presidential records. So they had already haggled with Trump for more than a year when they finally collected these 15 boxes. And they go on to say that the 15 boxes that the National Archives seized from Trump included, quote, items marked as classified national security information up to the level of top secret and including sensitive compartmented information and special access program materials. This is the highest level of classification that the government gives any document. In fact, we now know from the New York Times that those initial 15 boxes contained 150 items marked as classified, and they've seized now more than 300 classified documents in total. So some of these documents, understand, when they say compartmentalized and these top secret, these are so vital to our national security that no one is allowed to remove them or even view them outside of a secured government facility where devices aren't even allowed in the room. And this sociopathic clown had them lying around in a basement of his country club where a Chinese spy once waltzed in and had all kinds of cameras and recording devices with her. It gets worse though, guys. This document that Solomon ignorantly put on his website revealed that the National Archives wrote to Corcoran. They wrote to him on April 12th of this year to explain the urgency of this matter. But then they even gave him more time. They granted Trump another grace period because Corcoran kept saying, oh, Trump needs to go through them. So the National Archives grants them another extension to April 29th. So they wait all the way till April 29th, and then Corcoran replies to them and says, oh, Trump needs more time. He needs to determine if executive privilege exists. So this is almost a year and a half after Trump left office, and this golf-playing, lazy-ass sloth hasn't had time to go through the documents. But what really trips them up here is the fact that they had already claimed that Trump reviewed all of these documents in late 2021. So why would he need to go through everything again? Were they lying, or just Trump just not know how to read? Does he have eye issues? I mean, does he maybe need glasses? So anyway, the archivist letter that Solomon released goes on to explain that this isn't a close call. Trump had zero right to retain the documents, and he was not entitled to assert executive privilege because he was no longer the executive. He was no longer the president. And she explained the potential damage that could be caused by the removal of these documents and why it was so crucial for an investigation to commence immediately. She wrote in this letter, in part, quote, to investigate whether those records were handled in an unlawful manner, but also, as the National Security Division explained, to conduct an assessment of the potential damage resulting from the apparent manner in which these materials were stored and transported, and take any necessary remedial steps. So yeah, they needed to know who saw these. Who had their hands on these? Could they have been, even without Trump meaning to, could they have fallen into the hands of a foreign enemy? We need to find out. They could have the names of some of our intelligence officials on them, spies. I mean, you're literally putting people's lives at risk, potentially. So in the end, she informed Corcoran, I'm not granting another delay. I'm not doing this again. The documents that we have gathered already, the 15 boxes, are going to be handed over to the FBI. Now, the FBI is requesting additional security footage from Mar-a-Lago, which could mean that something's up, right? Because the New York Times reported that in the last batch of surveillance footage that they gathered, not only were there people seen removing and then returning boxes, they were taking them out of the storage facility and then returning them, but they're also now saying that in that footage, you could see that some of the documents were moved to a different type of box. So were they trying to hide stuff? Were they saying, oh, okay, we're going to take them out of these legal looking boxes and put them into something else so that when the government comes, they don't even bother to check this other type of box because they'll think it's like floaties and, pool noodles for Mar-a-Lago. So we don't know. There's no more details, but that's where we're at, guys. I can imagine Trump's attorneys are blowing their lid today. They are probably almost in tears at what John Solomon did because he laid it out there that Trump knew that he had documents that he wasn't supposed to have. He knew that the government was asking for this stuff back, and he dragged it on and made excuses, and he played games. There was no ambiguity here. It's not like they could say at this point, oh, Trump didn't even know that the government wanted this stuff, or, oh, he was working expeditiously to get all of this back to them as quickly as possible. This is what happened. This is exactly why they felt that they had to go and search his home and get these documents back, because literally it's a matter of national security. 300 classified documents. But please whine to us some more about Hillary's emails. If you cared about that, as I did, then you should care about this. But if you don't care about this and you were bitching about that, then just shut the fuck up, because you have no ethics, you have no morals, you have no principles. I cared that Hillary actually had classified documents. It mattered to me. Anyway, guys, when and if I hear more, I'll let you know. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.